everyone, it is the Afro Avenger here, another album review, and today's album is Sound and Color by Alabama Shakes. It was released April 21st of 2015. Some chart information: it peaked number 1 on the US Billboard 200. It was released on the label ATO in the United States, and its singles were Don't Wanna Fight, Give Me All Your Love, Future People, and of course the title track, Sound and Color. So without further ado, let's get this started. This was Alabama Shakes' second studio album, but it actually happens to be their breakthrough project. With their first album, Boys and Girls, they didn't cover much ground, but this album here made them megastars in 2015, even racking in some Grammy nominations and wins. This album is mainly a blues rock album, but contains a great deal of other styles of music blended in, from indie rock and garage rock to Americana and punk rock. It covers a lot of styles, and the music itself is really great, easily making this album one of the best of 2015 in my opinion. The opening track, which is the title track, actually happens to be one of my favorites on this album. It's very gospel influenced, mainly due to its chord progression, and I love the addition of the light organ and the prominent vibraphone. Now, the main hit from this project was the second track, Don't Wanna Fight, and for good reason. It's an amazing rocker, and this is the first time on the album we get to hear Brittany Howard's incredibly unique vocals. In a lot of ways, her vocals really made this album for me. How she comes in with her piercing screech and then her aggressive low-tone vocals, it's really cool. Much of this album deals with relationships, and this track is talking about how Brittany and her man are constantly arguing and she can't take it anymore. I love this track, and I was listening to it throughout much of 2015. Dunes is a good example of the indie rock side of this album, with its lo-fi production style and aggressive, simplistic instrumentation. However, near the end when they vamp on the lyric, I'm Losing It, it turns into this psychedelic freak-out reminiscent of stuff from Pink Floyd's Piper at the Gates of Dawn or the Beatles' Revolver. The tracks Future People and Give Me All Your Love continue much in the same style as Don't Wanna Fight, with their blues rock influences. Future People deals with how most would want to see departed loved ones in heaven, but Brittany would much rather meet her future self to help guide her through the rough times she'll have to go through in life. Give Me All Your Love, as you might expect, is a love song where Brittany wants to help her troubled man to feel better. Both are really great tracks, and I love the tempo change near the end of Give Me All Your Love. That makes the track all the more emotional and cool to listen to. This feeling has much more minimalistic sound than most of the other tracks in the album. It contains influences of folk rock and shows off some of Brittany's falsetto abilities. I'm not sure if I prefer her natural voice or falsetto, but it's undeniable that both performed very, very well on this album. Guess Who, on the other hand, contains elements of Americana, reggae, and soul. Again, more falsetto singing, but it's so much funkier in its sound, all while being incredibly lo-fi in production. I love the little string interludes on this track to kind of give it a bit of a mix-up in between. Now, the track The Greatest probably stands out among all of the tracks on this album as the heaviest, mainly because it's punk rock mixed with blues rock. During the verses, it's extremely reminiscent to the driving rhythms used by early punk bands like the Ramones. However, it's such a weird, interesting blend of instrumentation and style, you really can't call this a punk song. Between the beat changes, the synthesizers, and even the lyrics themselves, this is quite a unique track, and one that really stood out in a major way on this album. After that is Shoegaze, which is kind of a weird title considering this isn't a song in the style of the subgenre known as shoegazing. It's more southern rock than anything else, and actually has some pretty happy lyrics, mainly talking about the value of friends, and even the instrumentation is a lot brighter than the typical heavy, gritty, aggressive stuff found throughout this album. After which is Miss You, an indie rock track with soul influences. It goes back to the heavy style from previous tracks, but throws in a little portions of lightness with piano in the upper register and hazy instrumentation. The final two tracks on the album are Gemini and Over My Head. Gemini could be classified as a mixture of space rock and blues rock, with of course references to the mythological beings / constellation Gemini, which is perhaps why it sounds so spacey. It's just really swampy, almost ominous, and even quite haunting. The instrumentation feels like a looming darkness is coming, but at the same time it gives you that impression of the empty depths of space and just floating around in it. It also happens to be the longest track of the album, which isn't surprising given its style. Finally, Over My Head is an R&B track with amazing instrumentation and vocals. It actually has some influences of lounge jazz, which I found to be really, really cool. The lyrics are so simplistic, but add the icing on the cake from this track that's talking about how Brittany is so in love with someone that she thinks she's going in over her head with it. This is absolutely the perfect ending track to finish off this album. Overall, fantastic album without a doubt. I really have nothing negative to say about it, and I honestly wouldn't have been mad if it won Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards. The fact that it was even nominated despite it being an indie rock record is incredible. I talked about it throughout this entire review, but I thought the instrumentation was outstanding and truly built onto the record, not to mention Brittany Howard's great vocals. I have to commend her a lot for that. I loved it from beginning to end. There wasn't particularly any striking flaws. Everything seemed to fit in well. Even tracks like The Greatest with its heavy punk influences, it all seemed to fit within the realm of indie rock. My favorite tracks were the title track, Sound and Color, Don't Wanna Fight, Future People, Give Me All Your Love, Guess Who, The Greatest, Shoegaze, Gemini, and Over My Head. I recommend this album to anyone who's into indie rock, blues rock, southern rock, lo-fi music, folk rock, garage rock, or soul music. Anyways, that does it for another album review. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did enjoy, please hit that like button and also subscribe if you want to see more. And also, if there is a song or an album that you want us reviewed on this channel, leave a comment down below or check out my Facebook or my Twitter. The links are in the description. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. So long.